Hello, so today as promised I'm going to teach you how to create a digital activity. When online activity that you can use digitally, you can also use this in person in your classroom, but I'm going to teach you how to transfer it into a digital activity. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open up your PowerPoint and you want to open up to a blank presentation, and then you want to delete this click to add title and click to add subtitle first. And so you have a blank slide. So I have this grid on here. All I went to is view, and then I went to guides. You can take it off. We don't need that right now. So after you do that, you want to because you want to be able to use this even if you're not in the class, even if you're not teaching virtually. I'm gonna change the slide size to a 11 by 8.5 because I like my mazes to be landscape. You can also do a 8.5 by 11. It is up to you. So how you do that, I'm doing it now, but how you do that, you go to design, slide size, and then custom slide size, and then you put the size that you want. So I'm gonna do a landscape instead of a portrait, so I'm gonna do 11 by 8.5, and then you just hit OK. So that's the first thing that you do. Once you get that done, then you're gonna build your template. And so the great thing about PowerPoint is that you can build your template once and then save it as a template, and I'll show you how. And then you can always reuse it with different questions on this. So I'm going to insert a text box. And here's where my title is going to go. So title. I'm going to center that. All right, so now, and then you can also do name, date, and then in period, all of that fun stuff. So I'm going to show you how to do the actual maze now. So all we really need for the maze is we need two shapes. You need to insert, you go to insert, you go to shapes, well maybe three shapes, and you go to the rectangle. And I want this maze to have 12 spaces. So I'm going to make a rectangle. The first rectangle you make, you're going to make it and then right click it. You're going to go to fill, and our fill, we want it to be no fill. And then the outline, you want it to be black, and I like for the outline to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to do 2.5. That looks good. And then I'm just going to click on it, and then Control D, and move it over kind of where I want it. And you see how these red little grids come on? That helps guide you to make it straight. And then I'm going to do it again. Usually when you do it once, it'll do it for you, but it's not doing it this time. I don't know why. And then there we go. So that's my first row, and I'm going to go 3 down. Come on. Okay, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go for across again. If it lets me drag it, it keeps doing that. And see, the grids kind of guide me to put it right underneath the other one. See how that one did it? That's what it usually does. Okay. And then I'm gonna finish my last row. So it's doing what it usually does, which is whenever I place it somewhere, it'll just automatically, whenever I duplicate it, it'll place it kind of the same distance as, like, it's following a pattern. All right, so now I have my boxes where I'm going to put my questions. Now I need my arrows. So I've seen this done different ways. I like to use arrows, so that's what I'm going to use. But you can just use, I've seen it where they just do rectangles, different stuff. So I'm going to use these arrows. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to build my first one. So this is going to be my start. So I'm going to build this arrow. Just all I did was go to insert shape, and I picked the arrow. I'm going to make this a little bit wider. The great thing about mazes is that you can incorporate this with anything that you want to do. It's actually one of my favorite, if not my favorite, activity to do with the students. And so I teach math, so usually I'll have a math problem here, and then and I'll show you how the answers go, and then they get to pick, and then this is a start, and then this is usually the end. You can do it for science, you can do it for ELA, you can use this for social studies, whatever topic you want to use this for, you can totally use it. So we're gonna edit this arrow. So I'm gonna do fill. I don't want to fill, and I want my outline to be black, but I also want it to be thick. Okay. So you want your arrow to be a little bit wide, because this is where you're going to write your answer choices. So so you want to have enough room for it to fit. All right, so I'm going to do the same. I'm actually going to insert another one. Insert shape, and then this one's going to go down. And you can also just move that one around. Actually, let me just do that so I can show you how it's done. Hold on. So this one, since if you already have this like the perfect size, you can just duplicate it, and then I can move it around that way using the little circle-y thingy, and then just place it where I want it, which is here. Okay. All right, I'm actually going to move this row down a little bit because I don't like how it's so far up. So this is where you get to play with it, and you get to figure out exactly how you want it. Okay, so that's how you do the arrows. Now, usually the hard thing about creating the template for the maze is that you don't want it to look too messy. So usually what I do is, this is my start. Let me actually type that in. So insert a text box. This is my start. And then you can pick whatever font you want. Center it. And then I'm going to just duplicate this, and I'm going to make the end my end, or finish, my finish line. And I'm going to move this down eventually because I don't like how far up it is. Finish. Okay? So that's what so that's your start, that's your finish. You can make your finish a different place, but usually I like to have them at the opposite ends. And then the first box, I like to just have one arrow coming out of it. So this is one answer choice, this is another answer choice. And then the other ones, you can actually put just arrows that have the two sides to them. So that way it can go either way, and it makes it a little bit more interesting for the kids. So I'm going to pick the arrow that has these two sides to it, and I'm going to place that here. I'm going to move this over a little bit. So I haven't figured out a magic formula as to like how to make this where you don't have to move stuff around. But like I said, the first time you do this, you'll have to mess with it. But then you can save it as a template, and then it won't be so bad. That arrow does not look cute. All right. So this arrow, make sure we make it no fill, and then our outline is black. And then the thickness is the same as the other one, which I think was 2 1/4. So once you have this arrow, you can just duplicate this arrow again. And then just keep it going. So you can go this way. Another way you can go is, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to move it over this way. You can go this way. You want to make sure that you have at least 2 answer choices per box. That way the kids have a challenge, and you don't just give them the answers, because I've done that where I'm creating it and it's just one. I'm like, wait a minute, they need 2. So make sure it's 2 answer choices per box. And then this one can go like this, so that way it provides 2 answer choices for the box. You see how it starts getting real messy? So you have to be very careful as to how many arrows where you place them to avoid that. And for me, that's the hardest because I have I know how I want it to look, and then it's just, those of you that know me know I can be very picky as to how I want things. All right, so I'm just gonna keep this going, and I'm going to finish my template. When I'm done with finishing my template, I'm gonna go to File. I'm going to go to Export, change file type, and yours might look a little bit different because I had to figure this one out, because when I saw somebody doing this and their PowerPoint looked different, but it just depends on what version you have of it. And then you go to the one that says template, and then you save as. So this will allow you to, so this is my maze template. This allows you to come back to it, and every time you open it, you can save it as a different one, but this will be your template, and you don't have to redo this process every single time. Okay, so I'm gonna keep messing with this, and I'm gonna make this template, and then give me a few seconds, and I will come back and show you how to build this maze and then make it digital. Okay, so the template is done and I've saved it. Now I'm going to build it so I can use it in the classroom. So I start with, so you need to know what you're going to be using before you start filling stuff in. So I know that I'm working on evaluating functions and building activities or digital activities for that, or activities in general, but digital activities for that. And so that's what I'm going to be working on. So I usually look at something like a textbook or a worksheet or problems, and I just change them around so I'm not copying that resource just in case I want to use that resource if the kids need extra practice. So you start with the start, and then you start with your problem. So the first problem that I'm going to write is, you go to Insert, you need your text box, and then you have enough space to type it here. So if you're in history, you can, if you're going over the Civil War or different battles, you can always ask questions about battles and then have two options. ELA, you can, I don't know, author's purpose, have different stories, and what's the author's, I hate author's purpose, characterization, something, and you have your question, and then they have two options. Science, same thing, you can ask a question and they have two options. So it's kind of a little bit more of a guided. I always like to level up my my resources. So I would say this one would fall under somebody that is developing or maybe proficient but needs a little bit more practice on some higher level problems. And then and my advanced kids like it too, but usually for advanced kids, I want them to be thinking critically on what we've already learned. So that is more like at what level I would classify amazing. So I'm going to write a problem here. So find the value of, we're doing evaluating function. So f of x equals 4x plus 3. Actually, I'm just going to substitute what I want them to do here. So the first one, I try to make it kind of easy for them to be able to do. So actually, let me do a 3. So, okay. So find the value of f of 3 equals 4x plus 4 is my problem. So I know I want them to go down as for their answer. So I'm going to get another text box. So if I do 4 times 3 is 12 plus 4 is 16. So that one goes there. The other one that comes out of it, I'm going to kind of think of what is the most common mistake that they make in this. And sometimes they forget to add this last number here. So I'm going to make this 12. Okay. And then I don't like that it's there, and I'm going to center this. I don't like that it's to a side. Okay, that looks better. So I'm going to keep doing this. I did want to show you a couple of features. The reason I use PowerPoint is because it's very good at editing, and you're able to add more stuff to it. So if you're a math person like me, we always have trouble finding fractions or exponents, and so with this you can always insert an equation, and you have a lot of options here. So let me click a text box first because it won't let me do it without it. And so I can do insert and then equation, and then insert new equation, and then I can do X and do the little, call it a little hat for the kids, but, and so that gives me a squared. I can insert fractions, sorry, let me keep going. Insert a fraction. Why is it not doing it? Or maybe I have to click on it. Sorry. Nope. What is going on? All right, let me see. All right, let me delete that and let me try another one. See if it lets me insert a fraction. All right, insert is gonna work this time. I believe it. There we go. Insert new equation. And then I can do it like a fraction and then mix it into a fraction. There's other options too. And so that's a good feature about PowerPoint. All right, so what we're gonna do next, I'm going to build this out. Actually, I already built out what I wanted it to look like. These blank spaces, I'm just gonna add other questions to them. I also added the name, the date, the class period. I need to add directions, and I can't, if this is gonna be like an in-class, I would add the directions here. I'm gonna create it virtually, so I'm going to wait till my clipboard in order to add directions. All right, so the first thing you need to do to make this resource virtual, is you need to open up this is another project I'm working on. Open up a new slide. So file, new presentation. And you want to delete this. We're going to do exactly how we started off our PowerPoint. So we delete that. You want to make it the same size. So go to File, go to Page Setup, and then you go here. We go to Custom again. And then we're going to make it 11 by 8.5. Apply. Okay. And then I'm going to title this Evaluating Functions Maze. Okay. Then you're going to go to your PowerPoint. And this is kind of very similar to what we did with the uploading the worksheet. So you're going to go to your PowerPoint. Let's pretend this is completed. You're going to go to, not home, you're going to go to File. We're going to go to Export, kind of how we did for the template, or exactly how we did for the template. Change file type, and you want to make it into one of these. Okay, I'm going to do PNG, and then you save. Then it's going to, and I'm going to title it Evaluating Functions. If I could spell today. Maze. And I'm just gonna hit save. So it's gonna ask me if I want to export just this one or all slides. So this is pretty beneficial if you're working on, you have several things that you want to upload. In this case, I'm just working with one. If I had several things, and it would create its own folder in wherever I'm saving it, and so it's easier to it's organized and easy to access. But here I just need this one. So just this one. All right, so now I'm going to minimize that. I go to background, choose image, and I'm gonna find my image. So it should be in here. There it goes. And then open. And done. So there you go. Your maze is on your Google slide. But now we need to figure out a way for kids to be able to answer these questions. So I've seen a couple of things happen. I've seen where people have them just draw a line, but I really don't like that. My favorite thing to do is to make arrows for them. And so I just draw an arrow, and then I do a fill of whatever color I want. This is like one of my favorite colors. And then once I do that, I'm going to move it out of the way. If it worked, undo. And then I'm just going to make a couple of these. I say a couple, but make several of these. And then I'm going to turn it around and make several of these. Do it again. And then I also have this other one. So I'm going to insert another image, and I'm going to use the other arrow. Where is it? Right there. And so I'm going to do the same. Should kind of size it. Make it a little bit narrow. It doesn't have to fill up the whole thing because that way you can see what is underneath it. So make a few of these, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so then when the kids come in and they are doing the maze, they're able to use these arrows to kind of guide what they did, and it's easy for you to look at. Now we need some directions here because the kids are going to be lost. So I like to always add a little clipboard. You can insert an image. Let me see if I can find it. Search from web, clipboard. So I'm going to pick this one, insert. All right, and I'm going to move that over here. Move this over. Move this over here, and then just add my directions. So directions. I'm going to insert our text box, and I'm just going to say solve, begin at start, solve the, evaluate the function, and then drag and drop the arrows to indicate your path until you get to the finish line. Okay. Another thing you can also do if your kids are not, if you think this is going to be a little bit difficult, is you can always add a video directions here. I'm thinking about doing that when I first start using these activities, and that way there's no question on what they need to do. So I'm going to move these over to the clipboard. So that is it. So whenever the kids answer this question, the first answer is 16. So they would move, undo, they would move this one here to the 16, and then they would move this one here, and then just rotate it over this way. That's why I'm gonna copy them to be pointing this way, so that way it's easier for them. And then this way they would use one of these, and so on and so forth. And so the kids will end up getting to the finish line, and this is how you can make any activity that you want into a maze. I will include a template in our Facebook page, Digital Teaching Rockstar, and that way that process at least is easier for you. I hope you enjoyed this and it was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know.